welcome to a Team SNG test hands video. Today we are going to be doing the test hands for the Crusadia Mech Knight profile that was featured on the channel earlier this week. Link to that profile is down below in the description. While I get your attention, I want to ask you guys, do leave us a like, leave us a comment, leave us a subscribe. Alright, so this deck can go first or second, so we're going to do 2 going first test hands and 1 going second test hand to sort of just show you what the deck can do on either turn. Without further ado, let's just get into it. So seeing as this deck is really dependent on columns and zone placement, we are going to use a mat that's got zones on it, just to make things a bit easier. Now I do highly recommend this if you're going to use remote dueling. I highly recommend using a zone with mats on it. Check out our remote duel setup guide, also linked down below to sort of see me talk about setting up for remote dueling. Alright, so our first test hand, Crusadia Power, World Legacy Secret, World Legacy's Memory, Crusadia Arborea, Crusadia Crawler. So this is okay. It's not the greatest of openings, but we definitely do have some plays we can make here. So first things first, we are going to normal summon our Arborea, and we're going to link that off for our Magius. At this point, we are going to activate our World Legacy's Memory, and that will let us special summon from our deck our Crusadia Purple Nightfall. Now we are locked into only Mech Knights, but that's not the end of the world because we do have a Mech Knight we can go into. Our Purple Nightfall being special summoned here will trigger our Magius, letting us search out our Crusadia Draco for next turn so that we can recur our Arborea and we can continue to climb in our Crusadia engine. At this point we'll banish our Purple Nightfall so as to special summon or to search out our Indigo Eclipse. We can then set our Crusadia Crawler, special summon our Indigo Eclipse, and link both our Indigo Eclipse and our Crusadia Crawler off for our Mech Knight of the Morning Star. Now we could pitch our World Legacy Secret to search a Mech Knight, but at the end of the day we don't really want to do that because we want our World Legacy Secret allowing us to get a monster negate with our Mech Knight Indigo Eclipse Engraved. So we're going to actually set that. And at this point we are a bit stuck, so we're going to kind of have to rely on next turn bringing back our Mech Knight of Indigo Eclipse. Which will then let us negate monster effects in the same column as our Mech Knight of the Morning Star and our Indigo Eclipse. When we bring this back, we'll bring back to the first monster we want to negate, and then when our opponent goes to activate a second monster, we can use Indigo Eclipse and just move its column to whatever zone column that our opponent is trying to activate another effect in, allowing us to stop not 1 but 2 effects potentially on our opponent's turn. On top of that, our Mech Knight of the Morning Star will give us the ability to protect them from battle, so long as our opponent doesn't destroy this and does end up leaving it on the field. At the end of our opponent's turn, we could activate Crusadia Crawler to allow us to search our deck for another World Legacy card, like our World Legacy Whispers or our World Legacy Key, so as to continue comboing off. So it wasn't the end of the world. We did end up locking up 2 zones on that. But there's a lot more we could potentially do with this deck if we saw a better hand than that. So it's not the end of the world, though. So this time we're going to go second. So we'll draw 6 cards. What do you know? That would be really nice going first or going second. We've ended up quite well off here. So I'm going to show you what you can do with your Mekk-Knight Orcust Girsu. Or your Girsu the Orcust Mekk-Knight as it is. First things first, we are going to normal summon our Girsu the Orcust Mekk-Knight. We're going to send from our deck to our grave our World Legacy World Chalice. And because Girsu the Orcust Mekk-Knight is the only monster we control, we are now going to produce 2 tokens. One on our side of the field, and one on our opponent's side of the field. So we're actually going to put this over this left zone because I want to play with the left zone. Theoretically, our opponent would have stuff in zones already, but I want to show you what you can do if your opponent, for whatever reason, has left an empty field. And that meaning that you have the least advantage for your Mekk-Knights. At this point, we have a couple plays open to us. The play I'm going to go for here is actually to go link these 2 away for our Lib, the World Key Blade Master. You can do this because you've got a World Legacy in the grave with your World Legacy World Chalice. Lib will then set from our deck to our field our World Legacy Secret. We can then activate World Legacy's Memory to let us search our deck and special summon, oh there it is, our Purple Nightfall. At this point we would banish our Purple Nightfall to search out Blue Sky. Now we're in a really good situation, so what we're going to do here is we're going to special summon our Indigo Eclipse, because there's 3 cards in this column, and we are going to use his effect to shift him over. Then we're going to special summon our Purple Nightfall. That will then let us search our deck for yet another Mekk-Knight. So we are going to search out our Mekk-Knight. So we're going to search out Purple Nightfall because our Purple Nightfall was summoned with our World Legacy Memories, so there's no harm in us having another copy of it in our hand. At this point we're going to go link 2 into our Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star. And we are going to activate World Legacy Key. We could add back our Purple Nightfall, but I'd rather leave him there banished until our next turn, seeing as we do have another one available in our hand. Oh, actually, before we activate World Legacy Key, we're going to use Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star's ability to send World Legacy World Chalice to the grave, searching out World Legacy Whispers. Now we're going to activate World Legacy Key. We're also going to set World Legacy Whispers. And at this point, we're going to go link 2, or link 4, sorry, into our Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. We can then also use Lib the World Key Blade Master's effect to spin something back to our opponent's deck. At this point, we can activate World Legacy Succession. Special summon back from the grave our Mekk-Knight of the Morningstar. We have our Indigo Eclipse to bring back with World Legacy Secret. And then we can special summon our Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall. So this is probably one of the best openings you're going to get. At this point, you're in such good shape. You're going to likely wipe out most of your opponent's board. Your Mekk-Knights have to be destroyed by battle by something in the same column as them, meaning the only way your opponent can destroy your Avermax is to destroy it with something in this zone. If they want to destroy it through battle. You can also turn off their monster effects, their trap effects, and their spell effects, all on your opponent's turn as well. When you go to turn off your opponent's monster effects, you're going to bring back your Indigo Eclipse, which will then allow you to use its effect to shift Purple Nightfall to one of the other zones, taking off 4 of your opponent's zones on the opening turn. I do realize this isn't totally plausible you'll get all the way to this, seeing as your opponent will likely have set something up to slow you down, but it is realistic that you will end up at least with World Legacy Secret and potentially World Legacy Key set up already, and you'll probably have 2 cards to negate them as well. And if you do manage to get to this board, though, you're likely pushing for game. If you're not pushing for game, you're definitely going to have control of the game the rest of the way through. Also, on your next standby phase, you're going to get Purple Nightfall back, and that will then take up all 5 zones, meaning your opponent can't activate monsters, spells, or traps in any zone that there is a Mekk-Knight. And there are 5 of them, meaning the only zone they have left to them is the graveyard, the hand, and the field. And that is it. Alright, so our final test hand going first this time. Girsu, the Orcust Mekk-Knight, the best play starter the deck has access to. Purple Nightfall, Girsu, and World Legacy World Chalice. So, this is a bit harsh, not necessarily what we want to see, but we do at least have our Girsu definitely set up for us, and we are going to be able to set up columns, so we will be able to get into our Mekk-Knight engine without any problem. So we are going to normal summon one of our Girsus. His effect will go off, sending World Legacy World Chalice to the grave. To produce 2 tokens. One on our side of the field and one on our opponent's side of the field. Now you want to be sure you put it above one of your extra monster zones, because that'll let you set up 2 columns for play, and you'll see what I mean by that in just a second. So now we're going to go link 2 into our Lib, the World Key Blade Master. And Lib will then let us set to the field our World Legacy Secret. Now I've set World Legacy Secret here, and that's because once I go into Avermax, I can put Avermax here, and I can set something else here, and the token will create the column in this zone, giving us 2 columns to play around with. At this point, we have 2 cards in a column, so we are going to special summon our Purple Nightfall. We're then going to use Purple Nightfall's effect and link him off. And banish him off to search out our Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse. So now we're going to go link 2 into Mekk-Knight of the Morningstar. And we're going to pitch our World Legacy World Chalice to the grave to search from our deck we're actually going to go with World Legacy Succession. As much as I'd like to get another one of the control cards that the World Legacy lineup gives the Mech Knights, I do want to be sure I get into that Avermax, because Avermax is really important as a boss monster for this deck. So we're going to go with Succession to special summon back our Live the World Key Blade Master. And then we are going to use our Mech Knight of the Morning Star and our Live the World Key Blade Master to go into our Avermax. Now, we're not at the end of the world here. In our next standby phase, we will be getting Purple Nightfall back, which is always good. And we will also be able to bring back our Indigo Eclipse on our opponent's turn, letting us negate a card, a monster effect specifically, using World Legacy Secrets. As I say, if I had something else in my hand, some variety in my hand, rather than two doubles, I would have potentially been able to go a lot further with this combo and get something else as well, because hopefully I'd have gotten another card that I could summon, another extender, for instance. So, you know what, I do want to show you what the deck really can do going first, so we're going to do one more going first test hand, just so you can see the absolute potential this deck has to go balls to the wall. Alright, so our final going first test hand, World Legacy's Memory, Crusadia Power, Crusadia Reclusia, Crusadia Crawler, Crusadia Arborea. So this time we're going to show you how we get into this whole thing using Crusadias rather than our Mech Knights. First things first, we're going to normal summon our Crusadia Arborea. We're going to then link that off for our Crusadia Magius. We're going to use Reclusia's effect to special summon itself. And then that will trigger Magius' effect to let us search our deck. We're going to search for Crusadia Draco. And we're going to go link 2 into our Crusadia Regulex. At this point, we can set our Crusadia Crawler and special summon our Crusadia Draco in defense. This would trigger Regulex, but we actually have drawn both of our Crusadia spell traps, so there's nothing else for us to search out of the deck with Regulex. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just add back the Arborea. We're going to go link 3 into Equimax. Now we got a couple different options. We do have the extender in Crusadia Arborea, which we do need to use before we use World Legacy's Memory, but we could also just go World Legacy's Memory. That's not an Equimax, that's a Magius. Equimax. So, at this point we do have the options, though, of going Crusadia Arborea. Special summon, link off into Magius, and then Magius and Equimax linked off to our Avermax. So that's a very typical way of getting into it, and all it requires is 2 Crusadia monsters to get you here. Once you're here, you're in really good shape because you've already set your column up to let you go into your World Legacy card, into your Mech Knight cards. So we can use our Memory to special summon our Indigo Eclipse. Oop, nope. Sorry. To special summon our Purple Nightfall. Banish off our Purple Nightfall. And search out our Indigo Eclipse. We can also set Crusadia Power to make shit so that our Avermax is unaffected by all card effects. Although this does sort of leave us in this sticky situation where we're kind of relying on Avermax's power to protect the board. Alright, so our final going first test hand, Crusadia Arborea, Mech Knight Orcus Girsu, Crusadia Draco, World Legacy World Chalice, and Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse. So this is actually a really nice opening. We have the ability to go into basically full combo right here. First things first, we are going to normal summon our Mekk-Knight Orcus Girsu. Use its effect, sending our World Legacy World Chalice to grave. That will then produce 2 tokens. One on our opponent's field, and one on ours. We're going to use our token and Girsu for Lib the World Key Blade Master, who will then set us a World Legacy spell trap directly from the deck. So we're going to set our World Legacy Secret. At this point, we're going to special summon our Crusadia Arborea to the zone that Lib the World Key Blade Master points to. And we're going to special summon our Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse underneath her. And then we're going to go link 2 into our Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star. We can now use Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star's effect and banish and pitch our World Legacy World Chalice to search out our World Legacy Whispers. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go with our Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star and Lib the World Key Blade Master to give ourselves our Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. So now we're in really good shape. We have the ability to not only turn off our opponent's monsters in not 1, but 2 columns, but we also have the ability to turn off our opponent's spell traps as well. Well, their spells anyway. And on our next turn, we're going to get to banish off our World Legacy World Chalice to allow us to search out our World Legacy Key. If we didn't want to search out Key, though, we would also have the option to search out our World Legacy Succession, which would then let us put Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star back onto the field as well, and put him back into play. On top of that, we would also have the ability to put Crusadia Draco on field, bringing us Crusadia Arborea, and then we could link off our Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse and our Crusadia Draco to go into another Morning Star, pitch a card that we've potentially drawn into or that we searched out with our World Chalice, and that would then let us get to our Purple Nightfall and go through the rest of the Mekk-Knight combo to fill out all the zones with all the zones with different Mekk-Knights. So I hope you've liked this. I really love this deck. This is definitely one of my favorite decks, if not my favorite. The inclusion of the new Girsu the Orcus Mekk-Knight really does give this deck the ability to establish a very powerful lock, turning off monsters and spells at least, with just a couple extenders in hand. If we'd drawn into one of our search Mekk-Knights, like Blue Sky or Purple Nightfall, we could have probably gone even further and done a lot more, and potentially gotten ourselves with a much more substantial board here. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you do leave us a like, leave us a comment, leave us a subscribe down below. The addition of the Girsu the Orcus Mekk-Knight really has given this deck so much extra potential. And what we're going to be doing is in a couple weeks, this will be featured in a live match. Leave down below in the comments what deck you would like to see this put up against that has been featured on the channel previously. And that being said, at this point, all I can say is, I'll see you guys at the next video.